Hi, I'm Jean McDonald, and I'm a transition coach. I also help caregivers learn to be caregivers or better caregivers, as well as to care for themselves, which is a big part of caregiving. I bring my 65 years of life experience to the table in these discussions. And this discussion is the last of 10. And we're covering 10 ways to cope with big changes. It is a Psychology Today article written by Stephanie Sarkis. And I've taken this list of 10 that she's written about and adding my interpretation of what these 10 mean and how I've used them in my life to cope with change. Because change is going to happen, and it's going to happen many times in our lives. Sometimes there'll be the little changes and that we seem that, yeah, we can cope with that. Or then these big, powerful, life-altering changes that can paralyze many people. But if you have these mechanisms in place on how to cope, then you'll get through the change in a healthier place. You'll come out and you'll understand a positive light to these changes, how they improve, that you'll get an awareness. Whether it's a terrible, devastating change, there is a process where you can grow, where you can become more self-aware, more obtain more compassion and empathy for others because you've been there, you've been through it. So, number 10 is back away from social media. Now, people in my generation may not be as entangled in social media as the younger generations. I know over time I've learned to love the connection I get from Facebook. I love, my gosh, using YouTube to learn and find information is become paramount in our lives. But when you're going through a big change and you're having trouble coping, social media, especially the personal aspect of social media, can really affect our self-esteem. I love Rachel Cruz. She's the daughter of uh, what's his name? Bill Ramsey? Ramsey, who does the financial coaching. His daughter, Rachel Cruz, tells a story in one of her books that her and her husband, they plan a vacation, they save their money, they go on this vacation, they have a fantastic time. She's beaming there. After this vacation is over, they're ready to go back. They're going to do the same thing the following year. They loved it. And then she gets on social media and people are talking about their vacations. And then all of a sudden, that beautiful, positive glow from her own vacation dissipates. Oh, why aren't we doing something bigger, grander? And it's that in my generation, we called it keeping up with the Joneses, keeping up with the neighbors, is there's that aspect of it, that fear of missing out, FOMO, that we don't trust our own devices. We see others doing things in a different way, and we expect that of ourselves. Well, throughout this video series, I keep repeating the one thing, and that's process. Give yourself time to process. Give yourself time to love on yourself. Don't be impatient with yourself. But with this way to cope, back away from social media, has to do with keeping your true self in alignment, your true identity, your true values. I use the term in my own life, congruency, to stay congruent within myself, where when social media and will tend to want to pull us into another direction. And it's not wrong to want more, to want different, But if it pulls us away from loving what we have, like Rachel Cruz loving her vacation, wanting to go back, and then having that beautiful, pure energy that came from her just dissipate because of social media. We don't need that. We need to stay true to what's happening inside of us, especially when we're going through a big change, because we're breaking down a part of our life and recreating a new part, rebuilding. And you want that foundation that you're rebuilding on to be you, to be the true you, and not some fake social media version of what you think it should be. So be careful with social media. You might be using social media to connect with others. Nothing wrong with that. During the beginning of COVID, many people in our community got on there and said, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. My livelihood has been taken away. My world has been rocked. And they use social media to connect. But others just used it to, like I mentioned in the last video, to vent and complain and to whine. And others have used it to go on there and then they end up feeling bad about what they're doing, how they're dealing with things. And that's not what you need when you're coping with a big change. Stay true to yourself. Find those true friends, your real circle of people that you can trust completely, and you'll get through the change that you're dealing with. Now, these 10 tools I've talked about, they're all about big changes, but you can practice each of these in any small changes or transitions you go through. Even watching your transitions through the day, where you go from work to home, or you go from being at home to seeing friends or shopping. You have all these little miniature transitions in your day. Use the awareness, these coping tools, to see how you can build up your coping muscle so that when you deal with the big ones, you'll be prepared and you'll be able to cope with them better. So, on that note, my website is carewithoutdespair.com. You can also go to jeanmcdonald.com. I've enjoyed sharing with you my ways of coping and would love to hear how you are using these coping mechanisms in your life. So take care. Bye for now.